the man never expected that while others summoned to another world become heroes, he was summoned by the Demon King to become an executive. All because the Demon King valued his work skills from his past life. But this left him utterly speechless. After all, in his previous life, he was just an ordinary office worker, who often made mistakes and faced punishments. The other executives of the Demon King's army also doubted the protagonist's abilities, with the most vocal critic being a red-haired woman named Ulmandra. Yet the Demon King insisted on keeping him, and assigned him a mission to negotiate with the Minotaur chieftain. If he could convince the Minotaur tribe to merge with the Demon King's army, he would pass the test. Upon learning of this, the other executives agreed, especially since the negotiation was originally Ulmandra's responsibility, but she had failed to persuade the Minotaur chieftain. Now that the task was handed over to the protagonist, she wanted to see just how capable he really was. Outside the Minotaur chieftain's room, Ulmandra warned the protagonist that Minotaurs were inherently brutal, and advised him to be careful not to get trampled to death. Then, she pushed open the door. Upon seeing the giant-like Minotaur chieftain, the protagonist was frozen in fear, unable to move. Afterward, Ulmandra attempted the negotiation again, but it ended in disappointment as expected. No matter what conditions she proposed, the chieftain would only reply with a single word, no. Not only that, the chieftain often threw garbage all over the floor, which greatly displeased her. After handing over the task to the protagonist, Ulmandra left without looking back. The protagonist was initially too afraid to face the Minotaur chieftain alone, but he suddenly recalled a negotiation from his past life that had also gone poorly. In the end, he realized it was a cultural misunderstanding that caused the disagreement. With this in mind, he gained a bit of confidence. Meanwhile, Ulmandra couldn't help but feel concerned, so she turned back to check on him, only to find the protagonist collecting straw from the doorway. This behavior puzzled her greatly. What use was there in cleaning up some trash? Without explaining much, the protagonist assured her that he would make the negotiation a success. Early the next morning, Ulmandra's first priority was to check the outcome of the negotiation, but the Minotaur chieftain was nowhere to be found in his room. She initially thought the negotiation had failed, but the protagonist informed her that the chieftain was in final discussions with the Demon King. Ulmandra was puzzled about how the protagonist had achieved this. He explained to her that the negotiation issues were largely due to cultural differences. The chieftain's constant no wasn't a rejection, but an attempt to negotiate for other conditions. Another factor was the straw. Sleeping on straw while staying away from home was a custom of the Minotaur tribe, but since the straw had always been treated as garbage, the chieftain had been forced to sleep on the floor, which made him extremely angry. As the two were talking, the Minotaur chieftain concluded his discussion with the Demon King. The negotiation was a success, and the chieftain even shook hands and made peace with Ulmandra. All of this was witnessed by the Demon King, and the protagonist's abilities earned his recognition.